When the twin suns rose over the iron plains of Valen Prime, silence clung to the hunting grounds. The predator packs had not sung their dawn howls, and even the scavenger flocks waited in uneasy quiet. In the deepest part of the valley, the alpha hunter known as Arekar paced in restless circles, his tail slashing the dust. His cubs, 3 bright-eyed younglings barely past their first molt, were gone. For his kind, the Kardai, losing one's offspring meant shame. They were the apex of their world, swift, clawed, and proud. Yet that morning, the den had been empty, the scent trails vanishing near the old human outpost on the ridge. Humans were newcomers here, settlers from a distant blue planet, tolerated by the Dominion because they brought trade, medicine, and strange machines. But to Arekar, they were fragile intruders who did not belong on hunter soil. He lowered his snout to the dust again, sniffing. There, faint traces of metal, ozone, and something warmer. A human scent. His hackles rose. He let out a low growl that made the nearby guard stiffen. "Find them," he snarled. "Bring the cubs back, or bring me the human who took them." The pack scattered. The human. Lieutenant Mira Solon didn't mean to start an interspecies incident. She'd been sent to Valen Prime to monitor atmospheric processors near the canyon outpost. The human colony barely clung to survival here. The gravity was heavy. The storms came like hammer blows, and the native predators made nightly patrols a death wish. That morning, she'd been out fixing a faulty solar relay when she found them. 3 small shapes trembling behind a collapsed metal strut. At first, she thought they were injured scavengers. Then one of them blinked up at her with molten gold eyes, unmistakably Kardai cubs. They hissed at her, tiny fangs bared, but their bellies growled louder. Mira sighed. "Great. Orphans. I can't just leave you here, can I?" She opened her ration pack and offered dried nutrient chips. They sniffed, then pounced, crunching happily. One cub, the smallest, with a nicked ear, crawled closer to her leg and pressed against it for warmth. "Yeah," Mira muttered, "this is going to get me killed." Still, she gathered them into her thermal cloak, ignoring their squirming claws, and carried them back to the outpost. The search. By midday, the hunters had tracked the cubs' trail to the human perimeter fence. Arekar's fury boiled beneath his skin. He wanted to rip through the thin metal walls, to tear apart whatever pale creature dared touch his blood. But he was no fool. War between Kardai and humans would bring orbital fire and extinction. He crouched low, gesturing for silence. A scout pointed toward a flickering hollow panel window inside the human habitat dome. And there, through the transparent field, he saw them. 3 cubs, nestled on a human's chest, sound asleep. The human lay on the floor beside a crackling heat emitter, breathing slow and steady. Her arms encircled them lightly, protectively. The sight stopped Arekar's breath. The cubs had never slept that peacefully even in the den. The standoff. When Mira woke, she knew instantly she wasn't alone. The air was thicker, colder, humming with a low growl. She reached for her pulse pistol, too late. The door slid open and 6 massive silhouettes filled the corridor, their eyes glowing amber in the dim light. Arekar stepped forward, claws scraping metal. "Human," he rasped in broken trade tongue. "You took my young." Mira froze. The cubs stirred, blinking sleepily. When they saw him, they squealed with joy. "Fahrak," and tumbled off her lap toward their father. Arekar's chest rose as they clung to his forelegs. He touched each one's head gently, scenting them. They were unharmed, well-fed, safe. Then his gaze lifted to the human again. "You protected them?" he asked slowly. Mira nodded. "Found them near the relay station. They were cold, hungry. I thought He cut her off with a sharp gesture. Thought they needed you? She didn't back down. I thought they needed warmth. That's all. The silence stretched long enough to make her heartbeat throb in her ears. Then one cub, the smallest, scampered back to her side and pawed at her jacket, chirping. The pack murmured. Arekar's eyes softened, just slightly. Strange creature, he said. The young trust you. The middle, an uneasy bond. Arekar could have taken his cubs and left. But the valley storm struck early that night, sheets of crimson lightning slashing across the horizon, powerful enough to melt armor plating. The human dome was the only safe shelter within miles. So, with a reluctant growl, he and his pack accepted Myra's offer to stay until the storm passed. Hours turned into days. Mira learned that the Kardai communicated not just with words, but vibrations and low tones that resonated through the bones. Their language was half felt, half heard. When she laughed once, a soft, nervous sound, the cubs responded with matching vibrations, giggling in their way. Even Arekar's stern expression cracked once or twice as he watched her try to mimic their sounds, failing spectacularly. You speak wrong, he told her, rumbling amusement in his chest. Yeah, well, she said, smirking, your grammar's not perfect either. That made the cubs yip with laughter. Something began to shift in those stormbound nights. Mira repaired their armor plates with human sealant. The pack shared dried meat and stories of their hunts. And slowly, Arekar began to see what his cubs already had, that this fragile human carried courage rare even among hunters. The middle climax, the threat. Peace never lasted long on Balan Prime. On the fourth night, the scanners blared, motion signals approaching fast. Raiders. Not humans, not Kardai, but scavenger mercs that prowled between factions, taking anything they could kill. Mira grabbed her rifle. How many? Arekar sniffed the air, his spines rising. Too many. The cubs whimpered, huddling behind the heat emitter. Mira knelt beside them. Stay here, okay? No matter what happens. Then she stood beside Arekar at the main hatch. He glanced at her weapon, sleek, glowing faintly blue, and then at her eyes. You fight? He asked. Always. He gave a short, approving nod. Then hunt with me, human Mira. When the raiders burst through the sandstorm, claws and plasma fire tore through the air. Mira moved like liquid precision, her shots clean and controlled. Arekar lunged beside her, his roar shaking the metal walls. They fought back to back, predator and human, until the sand outside was littered with broken scavenger suits. When it was over, Mira sank to her knees, shaking. One cub darted from hiding and pressed its small head against her chest. You are pack, Arekar said quietly. The ending, the decision. When the skies finally cleared, the hunters prepared to leave. Mira helped secure the transport harnesses on the cubs, her throat tight. Arekar approached her one last time. You could come, he said simply. Mira blinked. Come where? To the deep plains. To hunt. To teach the young what you taught me, that mercy and courage are not weakness. For a long moment, she considered it. The colony had no family left for her, no reason to stay except duty. And when the smallest cub nuzzled her hand, chirping happily, she smiled. But she shook her head. Your world needs you. Mine still needs someone to keep it alive.